Oh, sorry, wrong button. Okay, here we go. Green screen. We're gonna do making the band. Making the band. Is that everybody on there? Let's try to get a better picture of the originals. Is this a better picture? Well, we probably won't be able to get everybody on there. That kind of sucks. We got everybody on this one though. That's really the main one. But I wanted to show the originals. That's the girls. We can kind of see everybody. It doesn't really matter because I'm not really talking about the first season as much. Just a couple of things I want to touch on. So I already did a video about making the band, season 1 and 2, but I didn't talk about season 3 because I wanted it to be separate because I felt like it was 2 different seasons and different people, and different intentions. So making the band season 1 or 2 was just called The Band or whatever. I think that's what they were called, The Band. And like I said, if you go watch my original video, Diddy never really had any intentions of really taking their album or taking their music career serious. He was more focused on the actual TV show because he was making millions and millions of dollars off the TV show versus the albums. He didn't really care about the albums or whatever. He really more or less cared about the money he was making from the TV show. Now, allegedly, Diddy made, so it kind of was hard to understand if they were saying that Diddy made 30 million off the show in total, or Diddy owed them $30 million. I'm not really sure how that worked, but allegedly, we'll just use the 30 million. If it's more, it's more. We'll just say 30 million. But he allegedly made like $30 million off of them. And I think it was from the show. And they all had to sign a contract, and their advance was $7,500, and it was all split between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So that is a little over $1,000 each. Like, okay, I understand like that might be an opportunity of a lifetime, but at what point does somebody be like, bruh, this ain't worth it? We're getting $1,000 and some change, and then we have to do all these fucking humiliation rituals on national TV, and we have to go through all these crazy things behind the scenes for $1,000? And that's exactly how they get people, because people will do anything for fame. They don't even care about the money. Like that, they didn't make any money off of that. Like that was literally just to be famous, and nobody even knows who they are anymore. Like, there is no way in hell I would have walked 14 miles to get some cheesecake for $1,000 bonus. I'm sorry. I would have went home. Like, it would have never been me. Like, I don't know. Like, I think American Idol would have been more like up my alley because it's a little more professional. But there is no way I would have been going through all of that for $1,000. Like I used to be a dancer. Like, I've made more than $1,000 in a night. You get what I'm saying? Like 1,000. You want me to do this and this and this? That is insane. But that's exactly why they pick certain people, because there are people who will go for that. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why when you see certain people didn't make the show or they got cut, 9 times out of 10, it wasn't because they weren't talented. It was because either A, Diddy seen them as not being controllable. Like, he knows who to prey on, basically. He must have seen that person as, that they're going to be a problem. They don't listen. They're not easy to control. Or they didn't want to do whatever the humiliation rituals were. And before I get to talking about the new season, the reason why we don't see these episodes or no reruns is because all the abuse and all the stuff that they went through is there in plain sight. We were just too young and didn't really understand what was going on when we were watching it. But when you go back and you watch certain scenes, you can see how they were abused and stuff. And there's this one clip that I just want to talk about real quick because I wanted to show you for examples what I mean by abuse. So Choppa, he's the one in the hat, all the way in the back, the black and yellow hat. Choppa was the youngest one on the season, and I feel like he was the most abused because he was the youngest. So I feel like the younger you are, the more like naive you are. And even certain artists even said like I don't know, like, no, I'm gonna hold on that. But every season there is a Choppa because Choppa was replaced with Q on the next season as far as being the young, naive one. So I feel like Choppa was more impressionable, and you can see, I feel like he was a lot harder on Choppa. Like, looking back on it, I feel like he liked Choppa, like, in a way, and he wanted Choppa. Because he was a lot harder on Choppa. I feel like he was a lot harder on Choppa and did a little weird things to Choppa that he didn't necessarily do to other people. But there was this clip. I think it was Choppa, and I cannot remember Baldhead's name. I cannot remember his name. I know that's Dylon, but I cannot remember his name at all. But them two were in a meeting with Diddy. And Diddy stood up next to Choppa and was like, made him like hold his arms out or whatever, and was like saying how he's bigger than Diddy or whatever, but he's like so much younger than him. And then he says, this is what he said on national TV, guys. And what he said is exactly what he meant. But we were just so naive. Like, and I wish I could find this clip because I found it, but then I didn't save it. He said, as he had Choppa stand up and he had Choppa like hold his arms out, and they were like comparing like heights and lengths and stuff. And he's like, you're bigger than me. He's like, what'd he say? He said, I bet you could eat my ass up. And he said, you first. And then he pointed at the bald-headed nigga and said, you next. And they just started laughing and they looked really uncomfortable. But no, like, that's what he really meant. Like, you're about to eat these groceries. Like, I'm not trying not to be funny because it's like really not a funny topic, but it's just like so wild that this was on national TV. This was like, those are the type of humiliation rituals that they had to go through to make the ban. I'm good. So after because I'm sure he felt like, okay, 2 seasons of the ban, we can't really have a season 3. You know what I mean? Like, because he wasn't really going to do nothing with them. So he decides, okay, we're going to make a new ban. Because he had no intention, all years, never really boosted up any of his artists and really didn't really take a lot of them very far. It's because the same thing that he did to other artists as far as like destroying them or like unaliving them or whatever, he was afraid that was going to happen to him. So he never wanted anybody to be too powerful. That's why Cassie was never properly paid. That's why he just bought her gifts and had her living in houses and stuff, because he didn't want her to actually, if you had the financial ability, you won't have to be around me anymore. I'm no longer needed. It takes me out the circle. So he never wanted anybody around him to really be independent because he didn't want what Biggie was trying to do. He didn't want anybody to be able to do that. And that's why he got rid of Biggie. Because what he has done to other artists and other executives and stuff, he didn't want to come back to happen to him. So that's why he does that. Everybody's like, why is he so stupid? Why does he never let any of his artists grow? Because he doesn't want them to become too powerful. That's why. It's a control thing. And that's why even in it's a lot of rappers be cap. Like, you'll see them in, even like they've admitted it, like even a lot of our childhood was a lie. A lot of those, what was it? Those, when they did the Cribs tours, a lot of those houses were not their houses. A lot of them, they just either rented for the show, or it's some like rich billionaire sugar daddy that they have that's letting them live in the house. Like, it's not really their shit. A lot of them really don't have money like that. And yeah, and a lot of them are in debt. So a lot of it is like fake. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors. So anyways, so making the ban, season 3, and this has first I just showed the girls because first I want to talk about the girls, but it's where they have the girls and the guys. And this is all the girls that ended up making it. First I want to talk about Dawn, which Dawn is all the way in the back in the red. She's the brown skin in the back, standing next to the girl in the middle. In my opinion, I feel like he used Dawn as a honeypot from the beginning to try to get Quincy, because that's like Q or whatever. When I told you guys about how Choppa was the youngest, and I felt like Choppa like was always kind of picked on, I feel like the same thing with Quincy. Like Quincy was targeted because he was the youngest, so it's like you're easier to be more impressionable because you're so young, if that makes sense. So I feel like he even encouraged kind of Dawn to kind of date Quincy, because even in a video, like a sidebar video and I'll show you who Quincy is real quick before I finish this. Quincy is right there in the brown jacket right there that I'm pointing to. That's cute. So, and he was dating Dawn, which is her in the red on the show. They were dating on the show. And like I said, I feel like Diddy sent her as a honeypot because he was not, in an interview, he talks about how he did not want to have sex for pay. Like, basically, he was saying, like, in the business, he said that he wished he would have never did this because he said he would rather get paid. Like, he wants to get paid for his talents. He doesn't want to have sex to have a place to live and have different things and different opportunities, because that's what a lot of them do. They have sex. He said it on an interview and they all were like kind of uncomfortable. They all laughed, but you could tell like they were super uncomfortable. So I feel like they sent Dawn to kind of like ease him up for Diddy because of the homosexual stuff that you have to do or whatever. And there was a video that he did an interview recently talking about how he thought that him and Dawn were going to take E-pills, if you know what E-pills are, but a drug. And he thought that it was ecstasy. And it ended up probably being a roofie, because he said that he blacked out and basically he woke up downstairs in the twins' bed, which is, the twins is Diddy's twins, the Combs' twins. He woke up in their bed. He said he was being recorded and he was screaming. He didn't go into details of what happened, but you can kind of imagine that he was sexually assaulted in a way. And in my opinion, I don't think it was Diddy. I feel like that would have already had happened. He had already been on the show. He even worked on some of Diddy's album, Last Train to Paris. So this was after the show was over. You get what I'm saying? So he would have already had to have do those things. You get what I'm saying? I think that he was recorded doing stuff with the twins, and they were going to use that as blackmail because they were underage, and that's illegal. You get what I'm saying? That's what I think is what happened. I don't think it was he woke up to Diddy assaulting him. I think it was the Combs twins, allegedly. Tupac went around in here for the type number 1. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not reading the comments. So yeah. So the reason, and then also you notice how season 1 and 2 were basically all men. And then he had Sarah, which was a light-skinned girl. And then he had her, which she was kind of like tomboyish, which I feel like this was all more guys because we know that he likes guys. You get what I'm saying? But what made him switch to bring more girls in the next 2 seasons is because he knows that sex sells and everybody's not gay. You get what I'm saying? So he could do a lot with them. And his whole plan was basically to get them hooked on drugs and to pimp them out. It was never really about the music. It was all about making money off the TV show, and then he was going to pass them around to like all his rich friends and stuff. Pimp them out to his friends. Basically, that was his whole plan of what to do with them. What I think started falling apart was, one, he and Dawn I feel like he always had favoritism towards Dawn. I feel like he was always going to do something with Dawn, regardless if whatchamacallit worked out or not. Because I think secretly him and Don had some shit going on behind the scenes. I feel like Don and him had shit going on behind the scenes that others may not have been aware. I don't even think Quincy was aware, Q was aware of what was going on between Diddy and Don, because I feel like they kept it kind of hidden. But he always showed favoritism towards Don. So that's what makes me think that they had some type of interesting thing going on. And that just means to me, she just complied with a lot of stuff. And when you see the interview of the other brown skin girl, because when they broke up, they had a group together with, I can't think of her name, but they did Last Train to Paris, Dirty Money, Diddy Dirty Money. They had a group. It was Diddy, her, and another girl. And I cannot think of her name. She even said, because Don ended up coming out and like speaking towards some of the things that happened after the Cassie situation, and she was like really in support with Cassie. And the other girl kind of like called her out and was like, you're kind of being weird. And I think the reason why, and granted, I'm not blaming Don, because like, I mean, what could she really have done to save Cassie? She would have got her ass beat too. Like, what could she have really done? You get what I'm saying? Like, she would have either got beat or unalive. You get what I'm saying? So like, what could she have really done at the time? But at the same time, I do feel like she did a lot of bad things to people on her come up. You get what I'm saying? And she was okay with a lot of bad things and a lot of like immorally bad things. And I feel like maybe Cassie's situation was the first situation for her to feel safe to be able to speak. But at the same time, it's like, are you really speaking because you care? Or are you speaking because you're kind of like a disgruntled employee and you want money? You get what I'm saying? It's like, what's really your motives? But the other girl called her, hold on, Tupac was definitely freaky. Yes, I do believe that Tupac, I'll have to do a separate video on him because we're not talking about Tupac right now. But Tupac was definitely down with the LGBT community, but he was super picky. He didn't want to fuck with everybody. Like, he was super picky. And a lot of foreign people had crushes on Tupac. Like, Tupac was getting tricked on by like foreign like clothing designers, like Gucci, and like, that's just a random name, but like the Italians loved him. So like, he didn't really want to mess with a whole bunch of like regular ass people, and that's why, like, he wasn't like, he was picky. So that's another reason why they unalived him. But I don't want to talk about Tupac right now. But yes, Tupac definitely was. He was sexually assaulted in prison, and that's what started his journey of that. So let me keep going, because this is not about Tupac. I have to do a separate Tupac video. This is Aubrey, the blonde girl right here on the end with the curls. Now, Aubrey and him were never going to work out, because Aubrey was very smart. Aubrey was probably the smartest one out of all of them. Even smarter. I think Don did try to switch up, but hold on. Aubrey was the smartest one, because in the off season, while the rest of them were sitting around and waiting for Diddy to bring them opportunities, she started making her own connections herself. She started venturing out on her own and kind of making her own connections herself. And I think that is what really irritated Diddy, because he has a control issue problem. It's all about control. Do you watch Mean Girls? Yes, I did watch Mean Girls before. So she starts doing her own thing, starts making friends with like the Kardashians and a whole bunch of other people. And he starts saying he doesn't like her new image because she got implants and she started getting a little surgery or whatever, which It's a complete lie, because if you know the industry, they love plastic bitches. They love the surgery. What it really was is he felt like he lost control over her because she started making other relationships with other people. So that's really why he dogged her out like that. And kicked her out the group, because he felt like she was uncontrollable because she couldn't be controlled. He had a severe control issue, like just like how he controlled Cassie and just like how he controlled Kim Porter. He did. It's like that with everybody. It was like that with Mace. It was like that with Biggie. It's like a control thing. Yeah, it's like weird. It's like a I don't even want to know, like, what do you want to say? Is it a cult? Like, it's like you're at a cult. Like, I tell you what to eat, drink, where to go, what to wear, what you can't, like, you don't have a brain for yourself anymore. You get what I'm saying? It's like a cult. So she started getting her own brain and started going out and doing her own thing. That was the problem. And then she left because after he kicked her out, she said she didn't want to do it without everybody. So then he kicked her out. And then he basically said that he was just going to keep Dawn, and he got rid of everybody else. And part of my reason I also feel like is because they were getting too big. Danity Kane was getting really big, and people really like was fucking with their music. And I just don't think like he never wanted to build superstars, if that makes sense. It's like, I'll give you 1 or 2 albums and then I'm going to get rid of you so that you don't get too big. Like, I don't want to have any superstars because I don't want you to okay, sorry guys. Hi guys. I never read my comments, especially when I'm talking. So yeah. So he got rid of all of them. Booyah, whatever. So we're going to get into day 26. Okay. Where's all of them? Okay, this is all of them. This makes it so much easier for me to talk to. So Donnie is the white boy that he kept as a solo artist. And Donnie was extremely flamboyant, always very sexualized, always like oiled up, always. Donnie was Diddy's boy toy. That's how Donnie was able to be the only one to get a solo deal from all of them. But he was never going to take Donnie seriously. He was just going to use Donnie up, make him do some crazy things. Maybe you'll get a little album here. I'll give you a little here and there. But it was always going to be breadcrumbs. Like, he was never going to make him into a big star. That was never his intentions. So yeah, Donnie had a lot of potential, but he was never going to really go too far. Just like when you seen him by, remember the Blind Fury that never went anywhere? And Diddy was behind him. Yeah, because he didn't want him to go anywhere. So this is Quincy, Brian. I cannot think of his name right now. Willie. This is, I cannot think of his name. He was one of my favorites. He was the chunky guy that he made lose weight. Quincy was the youngest right there. So there was an episode that came out. This is the part I want to talk about. He's all the way in the back with the black t-shirt right there. There was an episode where they were damn near crying. Well, Quincy was crying and he was acting out. And basically he had seen an email that had came from, I don't know if it came directly from Diddy or if it came just from Bad Boy Entertainment, but anyways, he got an email that either came from Diddy or came from Diddy's peoples. He seen an email. And in the email, he said that the email was a very sacrificial email. And so if you know that Biggie was unalived and allegedly was sacrificed by Diddy, allegedly, even though I know it's true, we're going to say allegedly, and Black Rob and just so many other people who just mysteriously disappeared around Diddy. Once you start doing that type of thing, it's who you are. And I'm honestly very surprised. I'm so surprised that all of them are still alive. I'm so surprised. God must be on their side. because that is what they do. They will make you into a big like superstar or whatever, make you make music, all that, and then sacrifice you, because then that's when the albums will go into the green. So if you owed me money and you're say we spent X amount of money on an album, and then you do X amount of sales, and it didn't do that well, okay? Now, if you're unalived, 9 times out of 10, just like how they do Black Friday, your sales are going to go into the green. You're going to do crazy numbers because a lot of people are going to go back and listen to your music and, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, because you're unalived. You get what I'm saying? So that's why they do these sacrifices, because a lot of artists are worth more gone than they are alive. And that's what I think he's seen in the email, because he never wanted to do the sexual acts. He wasn't okay with doing the sexual acts. And I don't think it was just like even just like gay stuff. I don't think he wanted to pimp himself out to anybody. You get what I'm saying? So I think the email was like basically like a threat to like unalive him. And when I tell you guys that he hasn't been right ever since that email, like he was going on, like he was going through it on the episode that we could see, but we're not, as a kids, we're not seeing like what's going on. But like looking back on that episode, it's like, no, you could tell it was something serious. And I'm hearing him speak on it and stuff. He hasn't been right since. He literally hasn't been right since. He did a recent interview. He said that he's on medication and he has a therapist. And he said like there was a while he was so messed up. Like he said that he was just like in the park, like just like not hallucinating, because basically like they try to make you seem like you're crazy when you either A, go against their program, or you start exposing their program. So a lot of this, like he was basically scared because of Diddy. And if you've never been in that situation where you're targeted or you feel like you're targeted, you will never know how that feels, because once you know certain things and you've seen certain things happen to other people, you know what people are capable of doing to you. And once you know what people are capable of doing to you because you've seen it happen to other people, like that's a fear and like a mental thing that like I don't think a lot of people will ever understand. But to this day, like he's on medicine, like he's doing a lot better now. Like you can tell in the interview that he's a lot stronger now because he's able to speak on like different things. If you can't, what was I gonna say? If you can't handle a lot of the stuff, like it'll really drive you crazy. And that's why we see a lot of these especially Disney stars, and I feel like a lot of the times it is the Disney stars, because it start like childhood trauma. It started so young. You get what I'm saying? And they were so young to go through those things that I feel like it ruined their mental because of how young they were going through that. And Q was really young, just like Choppa was really young. Q was extremely young on the show. He was the youngest one on the show. And I think that was intentional to target the young ones. But yes, so I'm trying to think anything else. So basically he used them just to make money off the show. He never had any intentions of doing anything with their careers. That's why Danity Kane, I think Danity Kane did 2 albums, and I think Day 26 did 2 albums. And those 2 albums, I'm pretty sure, came out like each season. And so after the 4th season was over, and another person I want to talk about was L'Oreal Gibson. Did I screenshot her? I thought I did screenshot her. I don't see her anywhere. Well, I thought I did. But you see on the show that Lorianne is like kind of mean to them and like hazing them a little bit. 1, I feel like she was told to haze them. But 2, I feel like she was just taken out. Like everybody that was around Diddy went through the same thing. I don't care what anybody says. If they say that they didn't go through that, they're lying. Everybody who has been around Diddy all had to go through the same thing. Every single person. Every single person, including Jay-Z, including Beyonce, including everybody, anybody that you ever seen around him at the start of, unless they were already a somebody, they all had to go through his initiation hazing phases. And when you see Snoop Dogg, you see this episode of Snoop Dogg, and you see Snoop Dogg and Diddy, and you see how basically Snoop changed his demeanor towards Diddy and towards everything because I'm pretty sure he feared for his life. Something had to have happened. And it's usually not like, it's usually by force, if that makes sense. So that's really kind of why Tupac and Snoop were beefing. But I think that Snoop didn't have a choice, if that makes sense to you. It was either you do what I tell you or I'm going to get rid of you too, type of a thing. But I think that Snoop Dogg was abused initially. I could be wrong. He could have done it freeingly, because I feel like the same Suge Knight and Diddy are really the same person. Just one had more book smarts than the other. But a lot of the things that they do, and like doing things by force and like controlling people and controlling people's money and scamming people out of money, they're really the same person. It's just one was a little bit more book smarter than the other. So I think that initially when Tupac was put in jail or whatever, he said he was set up by his friends. I don't think it had anything to do with Diddy. I think it was Suge and them. And just looking back on like, it just, I don't know. I have to do a little more research. But I think that the gay stuff, the homosexual stuff, I think that that was going on at Death Row from Suge. I don't think it had anything to do with Diddy. I think that Suge was going through his own, you feel what I'm saying? I think that that was what they were doing over there too. I think that the reason why it's not talked about as much is because Death Row is supposed to be a whole bunch of gangsters. You get what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a whole bunch of gangsters. But if you even know, that's the one video I need to make about gang banging and how gangs even started. Gang banging started from the CIA, and basically it was a way to infiltrate the Black community, and it was a way to make us gay. And literally the term gang bang, like if you want to know the original definition of a gang bang, it's when one person is, done by multiple people. That is a gangbang. A gangbanger. Like they played with us, guys. Like I just think that we didn't understand. Like we weren't allowed to read and write and go to school for so long that a lot of stuff that they do, I feel like we just didn't understand it. Like it was it was right in our face, but it just went over our head because we wouldn't be thinking that. And just like getting jumped in like a gang, I'm starting to think that really getting jumped in is not getting jumped in. I'm starting to think that getting jumped in is getting gangbanged. I could be wrong, but I'm starting to think that I'm not wrong. Like, and then you have to notice, like, a lot of people who are in the streets, a lot of gang bangers, they be around dudes all day. Like, it'd be a bunch of dudes. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, no, I think the CIA tried to pull a fast one on us and actually was successful, if that makes sense to you. But I don't want this to be all about the CIA and stuff right now because I kind of want to do a separate video about that. But yes, this stuff starts way deeper than Diddy. This stuff goes back. This stuff has been going on, and maybe I need to do a Little Richard video. This stuff's been going on since Little Richard. And before that, like, some of the older Black artists, you can even tell, like, you had to do some stuff to be on the radio, basically. How far along are you? Gangsters are the first episode who participate in Yes, look at Mrs. I don't know who that is. Gangsters are the first. Yeah, they are. And you'll see that in prison um, happen or whatever. But yeah. So I think I'm about to end this now. I think 30 minutes was good. But yeah, so this was the whole plan. It was never about really being famous. It was never really about oh yeah. What was I gonna say? So a lot of people, what was I gonna say? Oh, sorry. But yeah, it was never about oh, thank you. Thank you for calling me beautiful. Um the show was never really about making it. It was really just a way to make money. It was basically a way to extort them and like uh basically make money off of their humiliations and like different things. And it was all that's basically all it was, make money off the show. He never really cared about the albums. That was just kind of like to sell the dream of the show. And once he seen the amount of money he was making from the show, he really didn't care about the albums at all. It just so happened that the second season, they really cared about the music. I feel like the first season, we really didn't listen to them. Like, I can't name you the only song I know, that one song, but with the one girl when she was like, "We gonna ride all night like a motorbike." But that's the only part I remember. Like, I don't know none of their songs, but Danity Kane, we know some Danity Kane songs. We know some Day 26 songs. So it's like, yeah, y'all are crazy. Are you still gonna do a Surviving Rock Nation part 2? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to go back and watch everything I said in the first video to see what I even missed. I can do more because I'm sure there's a lot of people, but there's so many Survivor videos I need to make. Like, I haven't even hit the iceberg. Like, wait until I start talking to you guys about like the industry of like technology or like the industry of like medicine or like the corruptness that goes on over there. Like, I haven't even hit the iceberg. Like, yes, a lot of the stuff that I've talked about with like certain black celebrities are bad, but wait until you find out about white celebrities and like billionaires and the stuff that they've done, like fucking poison whole water systems and all types of stuff. Like, I haven't even hit the iceberg about the stuff that goes on, but maybe I might do a part 2. Maybe. I don't know. That's the second time somebody asked about it, so you must really want the part 2. I have to go dig up some more information of stuff that I didn't talk about in the first one. But yeah. Happy Friday, y'all. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Jaguar Wright? So I have 2 conspiracy theories on Jaguar. I believe that she's either angry because maybe she did some things to get a career and the career never panned out for her. And so she's angry about it. And then she lost her son. Or B, I feel like them taking her son away from her and just different things that she went through and just different things that she's seen is kind of like maybe what gave her the courage to speak out. And then maybe her not having her son, because it's like her son might have been what she lived for, if that makes sense. And like her not having her son anymore is kind of like, I have nothing to live for. So it's kind of like I'm not afraid for them to come after me because it's like you've taken everything from me, because her son was, her everything. Maybe if she didn't do that herself. I don't really know. But I think a lot of the stuff that she says is true. Because some of the stuff that she put together, I've put together. Do I think all of it is true? Maybe not. I think sometimes she's speculating, but the fuel to her fire. Yeah, I love you. Oh, I love you too. But a lot of the stuff I think that she says, that she talks about, I have like watched, and like just from like my intuition and like certain things that I've picked up on, a lot of the stuff that she talks about is true. But see, Jaguar Wright, like I hate to break it to you guys, but like the Jaguar Wrights and like the Jasmine Sullivans and like the India Iries and like I'm trying to think of other women that are like not, I would say Jennifer Hudson, but she like totally changed herself. So I really don't want to use her as an example. Um I could even use Fantasia. Um I'm trying to think of who else. Now notice everybody that I just named there are brown skinned women. None of them are light. Notice that, right? Um what was I going to say? So like there's really like a lack of representation of like real black women. Like how do I explain how do I explain this without being offensive? But like a lot of the black women celebrities that we see now have a shit ton of surgery, wear Indian bundles down to their ass, face surgery, not really black, if that makes sense to you. Like I feel like the representation of like in my opinion, like I know a lot of y'all are gonna like drag me when I say this, but in my opinion, I think Kamala Harris is more black than like some of the black celebrities we have because she does wear her real hair and like embraces her blackness a little more than like some of our like Instagram model girlies and like rap girlies that we have. Um it's like you can be black like okay, this is a perfect example. We can talk about the city girls. You can be black like black features, like not black features, but black qualities, like ghetto-ness, like kind of like how the city girls are. Like you can have black qualities and have black ratchetness because you're promoting the ignorance to other people, which is what they want. They want the black people to promote ignorance. They really don't want us to talk about intelligent stuff. But you can't have black features, if that makes sense. You have to get a shit ton of surgery. You have to change your face. You have to, even Glorilla came out. They were trying to make fun of her nose and trying to get her nose done. And you have to change your blackness, if that makes sense to you, like your looks. Like you can act black and you can be ratchet, but they don't want you to look black, if that makes sense to you. So that's why the India Iries and the Jasmine Sullivans and the Jaguar Wrights and the Rhapsodies and I'm trying to think of anybody else who like looks like a human, like a real human, like actually can represent what a black woman looks like in real life, not like a Barbie doll version of or a made up version, but like Michelle Obama, of course. Yes, Michelle Obama, definitely. Like and there's some more like there's more celebrities like I'm not if I've skipped over a few, sorry. There's some like especially from the 90s that have kept their blackness or whatever, but like new age celebrities like they don't want you to be like we don't have India Iries anymore. We don't have like and no Jasmine Sullivan didn't sing about like woke topics, but just having representation of like a natural black woman, what a natural black woman body looks like, being thicker. You get what I'm saying? Like not being a stick, like representation, if that makes sense. But I feel like Jaguar was never going to work out because of her look. She was too black. And there are so many people who had good music, but when you go and you look at their videos, like they were too black. Dreads and stuff like that, like they don't want black women promoting positiveness of like loving yourself naturally with your natural hair and your natural body and your real features. They don't want that from us. The only way that you can really get on, especially these days, like this day and age, is getting hella surgery and wearing different things that benefit other cultures. Like, how do I explain it? Like, because you're promoting like self-hate to other people of your peers. And I hate to break it to you, but if you get surgery to change your entire body, you're promoting self-hate. Like, because if you loved yourself and you like the way you look, you wouldn't get surgery, if that makes sense to you. Like, so by us promoting self-hate, that's why the Instagram era was so big. The Instagram era was like crack in the 90s. The Instagram era was so big. That was also a CIA thing, because now it makes all these girls look up to all these Instagram whores. And I was a victim too. Trust me. This is how I got where I was. This is how I started doing this shit. I was a victim of the CIA too. You look up to all these Instagram girls and you start glorifying their life. And you're like, wow, so all I got to do is be half naked and twerk. Oh, I got to get a BBL. That's all I got to do. And now I have my dream life. You get what I'm saying? That was definitely the CIA that hit, especially the Black community, like crack. So, yeah. AKA Little Kim. Yes, Little Kim. And she's a perfect example. Little Kim was so fucking beautiful. She was naturally beautiful. When you go back and look at her pictures, she was so beautiful. And they made her feel like she was ugly because they wanted her to promote surgery. They didn't want her to like her blackness. And that's exactly why they dogged her like that. And even in different groups, 3LW, the dark-skinned girl couldn't wear braids and couldn't do certain things because she was dark-skinned. But then they had Adrienne Bailon, who's not even Black, wearing braids every second of the day. It's like people love our culture, but they don't love us. They love to steal our culture. They love to steal certain things that we do, but they don't love us when we're actually Black, if that makes sense to you. Like, yeah. So... but I'm going to end this here. I feel like this was a good live, but yes. They want women to look marketable. They want women to look marketable and not authentic. But you can still be marketable and be authentic. Like, I know a lot of bad bitches who've never had surgery and can be very marketable without getting a shit ton of surgery and have nice Black features. Like, you getting a shit ton of surgery does not equivalent to being marketable or not. Anybody who's poor, if you're poor and then you get some money, you're going to look better regardless if you get surgery or not, because you're going to be able to do certain things that you couldn't do before. So it has nothing to do with being marketable. Like, if you have talent, you have talent. Like, if that makes sense. Like, talent is talent. And I feel like that's the reason why, like, there's no longevity anymore, because I think it got switched to like a look versus having the talent. Like, I feel like now is more important if you have the look versus if you actually have the talent, which is ass backwards. But yeah. All right.